Alright guys, time for an update. This is going to be one of those videos where I'm just talking. I'm not showing any work being done or anything like that. So if you're not interested in listening to me talk for 15, 20, or 30 minutes, you might as well move on. So anyway, I haven't done anything. It's been a couple of weeks. We've had nothing but very cold, crappy weather. We've had a ton of rain. We've had snow. We even had ice one day. The roads were a solid sheet of ice, so my wife's office didn't even open that day. It was just too bad. Anyway, my yard is mush. I walk across the yard and my feet sink 2 or 3 inches in the ground. I'm not kidding. It has been wet and miserable and cold. Anyway, I'm not interested in working in cold weather. It's just not for me. If it's 110 degree heat outside, I'll go out and work all day long. It doesn't bother me at all. The weather when it's cold is not my idea of a good time. So I'm self-employed, so I work when it's convenient for me, and that's pretty much bottom line. But I still haven't finished Steve's trunk. I haven't messed with anything in 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks. But I keep getting messages and text messages on my phone and stuff. Where's my video? I ain't done nothing, period. But now, this week in the forecast, starting today, 60 degree days all week. The only chance of rain is Friday, and it's like 30%. But this is Oklahoma. It could change tonight. It could snow tonight. I mean, who knows? But it looks like 60 degree days most of the week. You know, high 50s, low 60s all week. So I am going to work on Steve's car all week. Try to get a lot of stuff done. I'm not making any predictions because every time I make a prediction, it never happens. It's like I jinx it. So I'm not going to jinx it. I'm not going to post a whole bunch of videos of me doing trunk stuff because everybody's just going to skip through and it's not worth the time putting into the video to do it. It's going to ruin the algorithm anyway when people skip through. So I'll wait till it's done and then post a video. But anyway, that's the plan. Work on Steve's car all week. Hopefully get some stuff done. Now, midweek of February, which is next month, it's only like a couple or 3 weeks away, is Daryl Starbirds annual Rod and Custom Car Show in Tulsa. Indoor all weekend show. I do want to put my 55 hardtop in that show, but I have not registered for that show yet. They want you to send pictures of your car, so which I think is kind of before you're basically allowed in the show. I guess they have to accept your car before they'll put it in the show, which I think is funny because sometimes there's cars there and you're wondering why they're in that show. But anyway, they could be out of spots. I don't know yet, but today's going to be the first day I'll be able to even get my car out of the garage. So I do plan on starting my car today and getting all the fluids circulating in it. Probably drive it just around my block here, and I'm going to leave it sitting in the driveway running for a little bit, at least long enough to get the electric fan to kick on and circulate some fluids through the thermostat and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully it'll start because I'm hoping the battery's not zapped from that bad cold weather we had. So anyway, I've got some stuff I want to do to my car. So the week before Daryl Starbirds car show, I'm going to work all week on my car. But I should be able to get quite a bit of stuff done to Steve's car this week is the plan. Now I do plan on having his car done by at least mid-spring. That way, when he has spring fever, he'll have his car that he can drive to work and stuff and enjoy. So up until then, there's no way I'm going to get it done sooner than that. But I'm not even going to try it because he doesn't have a heater. It's not going to do him any good to have the car at his house right now anyway, because 30 degree weather, who wants to drive a car with no heater? You know what I mean? He has the original heater stuff for the car, but the shop smoothed the firewall, welded up all the holes and everything, and the only hole they left in the firewall is the big one for the blower motor, which is the one you need when you put a vintage air kit in. He is planning on putting vintage air conditioning in the car, but he's going to do that later because we got so much other stuff to do now with it coming off the frame and another frame going in it and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, he's planning on putting rain gear wipers in it and all that kind of stuff, but it's going to have to be later because we got all this other stuff going on first. But anyway, hopefully his car will be done in spring, and then I can finally get back to work on my wife's car and this other new 55 that's coming. I'm going to kind of change, I'm going to change the channel around a little bit for this season, this year. I'm going to do things different than what I have been since 2017. My channel's not growing very fast or hardly at all, and the videos don't do really that well. You've pretty much got to be a Tri-5 Chevy guy to even want to, watch the videos, and that's kind of what's hurting it. Not everybody's into Tri-5 Chevys, you know what I mean? What I found out that people get tired of watching the same car getting worked on week after week after week after week. So what I plan on doing this year is, after Steve's car is done, I'm going to work on my wife's 55 4-door for like a week or 2 weeks. Then I'm going to jump off on the other 55 and work on it for a week or 2 weeks. And I may bring my GPZ 305 project motorcycle in and work on it for a week or 2 weeks. I want to kind of bounce around regularly, like maybe even do it as a schedule. And that way it kind of keeps everything fresh and, you know, onto something new. I've noticed from my algorithm and going back and doing a lot of research on my channel, you know, there's analytics page, and it tells you everything on that analytics page. There's still a lot of stuff I don't understand. It tells you when people lose interest in that area of the video and they start skipping through and all that kind of stuff, which kills an algorithm, by the way. But anyway, it is pretty much from what I'm looking at. Like at one point, I think I worked on my hardtop for like 3 months straight, and I did a lot of videos. I don't think I did a video every single day, but I did a lot of videos. It starts out really good. You get lots of people interested in watching it, and then it just starts nosediving slowly. It's like they're getting tired of it or something. So I'm going to change it up this year. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to work on my wife's 4-door for 6 months straight. So I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth, which will kind of be good for me because I get burnt out on a car and I want to work on something else anyway. I've got a few jobs lined up of other people's cars after Steve's car leaves. And I need to talk about this for sure. I get a lot of emails, guys. I get lots of emails from people. I've got 4 people wanting full restorations done on their Tri-5 Chevys. I don't have the facility to do full-blown restorations, and that's everything. Them dragging in a field car here and me taking it off the frame and doing metal work, body work, paint, everything. The biggest thing for me is I don't paint cars for other people anymore. People are way too picky. They'll tell you that it doesn't have to be perfect, but when they come to pick it up, they're looking at it with a magnifying glass, looking for something wrong with it. And I just got tired of it. So anyway, I can't do full-blown restorations. I don't mind doing everything else. You know, disc brake conversion, wiring a car, metal work, putting patch panels in, or taking a car that hasn't been running in 20 years and getting it back running by putting a new gas tank in it and doing brakes and, you know, all that stuff, getting up and running and driving again. I don't mind doing that stuff, but I'm not doing frame off stuff. I'm not going to do it. And no painting. I don't mind painting little things, or even an engine compartment detail job where pull the front clip off and paint the firewall and the inner fenders. I don't mind that. I'm just not doing somebody a full-blown paint job. But I do have some guys that's wanting to bring cars to have work done on them, which is kind of nice. So there will be those videos as well. But anyway, so working on Steve's car this week, and then up until the week before Starboard Show, and then I'm going to work on my car to get it ready for Starboard Show. I got to do some sanding and buffing. I wanted to paint my radiator black. I don't know if I'm going to get the radiator done. I want to do the outside stuff first. But I have lots of little bitty things that I need to finish up on this car to do Starboard Show. I still need to sand and buff the bottom of the rockers because I wanted to put mirrors under it. But again, I don't even know if they have a spot open at the show because I've got to do pictures. And I'm just going to, when I get it out today, I'm going to wipe it down with a wet rag, and I'm just going to take some cell phone pictures, and I don't even care if they're fuzzy. That's the pictures they're getting. So anyway, I need to pre-register for that show. In other news, so I posted a video several weeks ago about looking for another 55 project car to build on the channel. I've got so many extra little parts here. I've got an extra transmission and a rear engine and that type of stuff. I thought I would probably be able to take an old stripped out parts car 55 and make a whole car out of it again with the parts that I have. So I was asking anybody if they had a really cheap, you know, stripped out body, and a subscriber hit me up, and he has actually give me a 55 4-door project car. It's rough, guys, but I don't care. It's exactly what I explained that I wanted, and that's exactly what I'm getting. I'm not scared of this car at all, but this car will get new life again. And I can guarantee you, when you guys see the walk-around video, the car that's coming, you're going to wonder what I was smoking or drinking when I said I'd take it, because it looks like it's ready for the crusher. But it is not going to the crusher. It's going to get built. He stated that he wanted to see the car get built on the channel because he enjoys the videos. So He's basically donating it to the channel to see it get built, and that's exactly what he's going to see. The guy's in Texas, and I've actually had dealings with him before. He is the guy that come up and bought the engine and transmission for my wife's 55 four-door, the original straight 6-cylinder and 3-speed standard transmission. He even came early and helped me pull it all out. And he has since put that engine and transmission in one of his Tri-5 Chevys and has it running. So he made a car live from the parts I had. So now I'm going to take one of his cars and make it live again. So it's kind of cool. We're trading back and forth a little bit. But anyway, he's giving me a car for free, and that's awesome. I wasn't looking for a free car, guys. Let's get that straight. I wasn't looking for handouts at all, but I was looking for a really cheap car that was really rough, missing parts, because that's usually the only way I can afford them is when they're stripped out bodies anyway. But it is exactly what has happened to this car. It looks like it was used for a parts car. Anyway, I've seen quite a few pictures. He's texted me of it, and as he stated in one of the messages, the price is right, and that's exactly it. But anyway, got a 55 four-door coming, and I've been wanting to build a vintage style race car, 55, for about the last 20 years. I kind of kicked around the idea of doing a gasser, but the gasser thing it's just not for me. I like them. Let me get that straight. I like gassers. I grew up in the 70s. And the 80s, of course, but the gassers were before me, so I don't have a connection to them. What I have a connection to is 70s and 80s street machine style builds, and that's kind of what I'm doing. And it's just going to make it, I'm not making it period perfect, but it just so happens that the exterior is going to end up looking like my brother's high school 55 Chevy. It's going to look just like it, kind of. So anyway, I have two brothers. One has passed on, but they're older than me. My middle brother, Don, who is still here, is 8 years older than me, and then we had an older brother named Dave, and he was 10 years older than me. So those guys had cars when I was a little kid. And I remember my brother, Don, working on his 55 at Mom and Dad's house when I was a kid. It was a brown primered 55 two-door sedan with 5-slot mags, 327 and a Muncie 4-speed. It was nothing special. I always thought for all these years it was a 150 series because it didn't have any trim on it. But he told me on the phone, because I called him and talked to him about it, he said it had trim around the windows, and I don't remember that at all. But he said they just never put the side trim on it, and I don't even remember there being holes in the quarter panels for trim. I don't even remember it having a back seat. So I always, all these decades, I've thought that car was a 150 series utility with no back seat. That's what I thought. But he says it was a 210. I don't know. But anyway, what I'm going to do is basically do this new 55. It's just going to be brown primer with 5-slot mags. So on the outside, it's going to look like his car in a way, but the rest of it is going to be all me. I'm doing a little bit different stuff, and I'm basically doing it with stuff I have here. It's just kind of working out with what I have here. But I do want it to look like a 70s street machine like my brother had. He had some stickers in the quarter windows and stuff. It looked like it was somebody's hot rod in the, probably early 70s or something. But I do have a set of fender well headers that I'm going to be putting on the car. And it's only reason is because I have them here. But anyway, I can get a gallon of Farm and Implement brown primer from Tractor Supply for 58 bucks. And that's kind of the why I'm going this way, to make it kind of look like his car. It just happened by total accident because the primer's cheap, and I like brown primer on old school cars, old school hot rod looking cars. To me, that's what I grew up with, so to me, I think it's cool. But I've always loved 5-slot mags on 55s. Those are my favorite wheels from old wheels, are the 5 slots. I love them things. But the other reason why it's going to end up looking like his car, it's not like I'm going out specifically to build his car and find these parts. The parts kind of found me, and then it's kind of like, hey, this is going to look like his car when I put these parts on. On his propane route, he fills propane tanks. So he's out and about in this truck. He found a guy that has a set of 5-slot mags with a Chevy car pattern, and they were only like $100 or something. So I texted him and see if he could still get those, and he said yes. So there was the cheap wheels, and then that gallon of primer is 58 bucks for a gallon. So it's just going to end up working out that way. So it's going to kind of look like his car on the outside, but that's about it. Now I have a 350 engine here I'm going to put in it, and I have a 5-speed standard transmission. It's a later model hydraulic 5-speed, which is not really rated for any kind of horsepower, but it's not like it's going to be a, you know, a 10-second car or nothing. Anyway, I'm putting a 5-speed in it, so it will be a stick car. And I'm probably just going to put some old racing buckets in it. It kind of depends on how good the seat frame is, the original bench. I may just leave the bench in it. But anyway, it's not going to be ever a painted car, not high-end show car or nothing. It's just going to be a primered, old-school street machine looking car, and that's it. I'm going to put some yellow traction bars on it. I have a set of old Lakewoods out here. They're pretty rough, but I'll blast them and paint them in yellow and put new stickers on them and put them on there. But the car will be brown primer, 5-slot mags, and some yellow traction bars. And that's pretty much it. No front bumper. But that's kind of how I remember the old stuff looking. And fender well headers. And I'll most likely paint them white anyway. Now here's the bad part. So I knew I had a bunch of parts around here. And a couple of weeks ago, I was out with my dog in the backyard. And I've got an area in my backyard. I call it my bullpen. It's just a little bitty area. It's been here longer than this main fence area on the side that I keep the cars in. Anyway, I usually put my riding lawnmower in there, but I've also got body panels in there for like Monte Carlos and stuff, G-body stuff, doors and fenders and hoods and that type of stuff. I had a core support with the baffles, and they still had the horns on them. The horns were rough. It looked like somebody had beat the crap out of them horns with a ball-peen hammer, the outer cover, but they weren't any good. I have a set of horns in my shed, but anyway, it was the core support with the metal on each side of it with the horns and stuff still on it. They had cut the center of the core support out at one time and stick welded it back in crooked. So my idea was I'll just cut it back out, clean up the welds, butt weld it in nice, and then smooth it out, paint it, you know, and use it. I also had a pair of inner fenders out there that somebody had already used for fender well headers, and they used a cutting torch to cut the holes out in the inner fender, so they were choppy. So I was going to go in and fix the area to make these new fender well headers work, and they had the rear splash aprons and everything with them. I also had a steering box that was from a 57 Chevy parts car I had a long time ago that was really tight. It was a really good used steering box, and I was actually going to use it on my wife's 55 because her steering box is pretty worn. Also, I had a set of 4 wheels for rollers, and they were old 90s era aluminum directional looking mags, ugly looking things. Those were out there with tires on them. The tires were junk. 3 of them held air, 1 of them that needed a valve stem. But I've used them for rollers for quite a bit of times. All that stuff is gone. And what I think, I'm not 100%, what I think happened is I've got a guy that comes by here about once or twice a year. I don't know his name. Same guy. Every summer he'll come by looking for steel to, you know, take and cash it out or whatever. Really good guy. He's got to feed his family, so I always just give him my steel, my extra crap I have around here. But I pile that stuff up in front of my bullpen, and that stuff was right in the edge of that bullpen. When he came over the summer with his buddy to get metal from me, I told him he couldn't drive his truck back there because I was afraid it would sink in the yard because we had a lot of rain, I remember, and the yard was pretty soft. So they were having to pack those parts, and I didn't help them. I told them, here's the pile, that's what you can have. I come back in here and went to work. I wasn't watching them packing parts back and forth, but now I wish I would have. And again, I'm not 100% that they took that stuff, but I think they probably did. I can't imagine somebody coming and taking that crap, especially those inner fenders that were butchered like that. They probably look like scrap metal to them guys. That's probably why they took them. But again, I don't know for sure if they did. So now I don't have a core support, baffles, and inner fenders for this new car that's coming. So I'm pretty irritated over that. I think the worst part is I lost that steering box. That was such a good steering box. It had a lot of stud hanging out of the adjustment nut on the top of it. So that sucks. But anyway, so now I'm on the hunt for that stuff. So if anybody local has a... I don't really need a steering box. I have another one I can use. I can rebuild my wife's original for her car, so it's not that big a deal. But if anybody has a pair of inner fenders and a core support and the 2 little baffles, message me. Get with me if you're pretty close. It doesn't have to be perfect stuff. I don't mind repairing stuff. You know, doing a little rust repair, metal work, and hammer and dolly work. I don't mind. Well, I went in to edit the video footage, and I always pre-watch the video to make sure I don't... you know, say something wrong or backwards, or because people always have to call you out when you say something different, even though they know what you're meaning. But anyway, the video footage froze. But I was pretty much at the end of the video, so you guys pretty much get the idea. But anyway, it's nothing on your end, it's on my end. This GoPro freezes up sometimes. But I was talking about looking for a 55 car core support, radiator core support, the baffles on both sides, and the inner fenders. If somebody has something pretty cheap, it doesn't even have to be perfect parts. Mint parts would be nice, but to me, the rougher it is, the cheaper it is. So that's where I'm at. What I'm basically talking about is the core support that goes across here, and the two baffles, which mine are custom, but I do need those, and I need the inner fenders. And 55s, the inner fenders on the back, a little ways down, there's a separate little square piece that bolts in there. I'm gonna need those. Other than that, I have just about everything else here, I think. I have mostly everything else here or on the way. The guy that's given me the 55 actually has a spare hood and a lower front splash apron, because I did state that in the video. I've got a pair of fenders here. Well, actually, I've got one fender here. It's pretty decent that I can work with. And then my friend Scott Smith's given me another fender, and I don't remember which side it is now. But I have both sides of these lower fender extensions, but I don't have this piece, and I didn't have a hood. But the guy that's bringing me the car has a lower apron that he's bringing and a hood as well. So anyway, I had a core support here and inner fenders, but now I don't. So anyway, that's pretty much where I'm at. I was just wanting to go ahead and trying to edit the video, and I seen the screen froze up on it. You can still hear the audio, but it froze. But I was pretty much at the end of it anyway. I needed to cut it off because I'd have just kept yakking and yakking and yakking. But anyway, I'm going to get to work on Steve's car. I'm going to go ahead and get this video edited and uploaded so you guys have something to watch, even though it's just me talking again. But anyway, thanks for watching. And if you have a core support and inner fenders, message me down below. See if I can get those found. Thanks for watching, guys.